everybody. In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a marbled vase. So I'm going to want to have 1.5 pounds of white clay and 1.5 pounds of red, which again, we're going to be using our scales here. I know this was 1.5 pounds. I forgot to measure this one. It is a little over 1 pound. Add a little more onto that, a little bit more, and I am there. So now that I know my measurements, in terms of I have this, I want to wedge these separately first, because I want to make sure that when I wedge them together to get the marbling, I don't over wedge, because then you kind of lose part of that look. So I'm going to wedge this white one real quick while my hands are still pretty clean. And I'm going to wedge this, but I'm probably going to take the video that I already had on wedging and splice it in right now so you can kind of remember how to wedge. If you already know that, skip ahead a little bit and come back to this and I'll show you the next step. Thanks. Okay, so I have my clay right here. First thing I want to do is I want to push down and then you lift back up again and you push down with both arms. Lift back up, push down with both arms. Lift back up, push down. And I'm really using this section of my arm or my hand the most on both sides. I lift up with it, put your hands on the side, lift my arms, my wrists up, and then push down. If you notice, I go like this. I start up, take my wrists as high as I can, and then I turn them like this. So hands, fingers pointing towards the ground, you know, and then you go up with it. So fingers pointing towards the ground, and then fingers pointing up towards in front of you. So this is kind of the shape that you have with it, because both your hands are on this side, so these are like horns of a bull. And then like there's the face. So I'm gonna grab the horns, push down. Grab the horns, push down. And then you do this about 20 times. Now, when you've done this for 20 times, I always take it and I try to roll it. I'm just kind of rolling this into a cone shape. So it looks like this. Because I throw this on the wheel, it's a lot easier to actually center this because it's kind of cone-like up here and has a wider base, okay? Okay, now that I have these two wedged, I'm gonna put them together and I'm gonna be wedging them together. So the point of this project is that we're gonna be using a clear glaze. And the decorative aspect of this is the marbling that you're going to be getting. Now you can actually add colorants into clay in a powder form. So you can get red clay and blue clay and green clay and a whole bunch of other things if you really kind of get into ceramics and you kind of like that technique. As of right now, we just use the natural colored ones and maybe later on the road, maybe I'll get that and we can try those ideas out. But slapped it together, now I want to wedge these. Now in terms of wedging, there's not a specific technique aside from the one that you already know, but I don't want to over wedge it and I don't want to under wedge it. So we're going to go for about 15, different wedging cycles on this. So here's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to turn this 90 degrees because I want to make sure that I'm getting all the wedging I can and it just isn't in one area. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm going to turn it again, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, turn it again, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I did 20 instead of 15, sorry, I lied. And I want to roll this again, so I have this, cone-like shape on there, and I'm ready to take this to the wheel and to throw my vase. So why don't you meet me over there? Okay, now that I have my clay all wedged, I'm going to make sure this is dry. I'm going to take this, slam it down top of here, and I'm going to get it centered. So again, nothing new on this. This might be a little more clay than you're used to because again, it's a total of 3 pounds. Get my hands nice and wet. Push it down on here. Make sure I get a good suction on there. Again, I like to get over top of the clay. Really kind of use, line up my arm right here and really push down so it stays pretty well. Next. Now that I know that it's attached well, I'm going to go with my V shape. So again, trying to keep my hands nice and still until it starts coning up a little bit. Both hands together again, push in, nice and tight. Hands are not going all over the place because I'm in control of the clay. The clay is not controlling me. That's kind of the goal with pottery, so you can have a little fun with it. Second part again is cry chop. So again, hands on top. This hand is still real important. It's still pushing in, keeping it nice and still. Cry chop on top of here. Push down on that. Has that flattens it off a little bit. You don't want too much of this happening, so that's why I start sliding down into that praying position. So I'm going to push down, get this thumb to split these fingers, and then I'm pushing in, and everything is kind of pushing towards that center. Okay, so everything is nice and centered. You know, that's why they probably call it centered. Get it wet. Do one more like that, just in case it's a little off. I don't think it is, but just double checking. Okay, so good. We're all set. So nothing is different on this project, you know, that much in terms of even like thinking of your bowl or your goblet. Both hands together, one thumb, find that center, push down. Again, stay about a ½ inch from the bottom. You can stop it and check with your needle tool, or if you feel like you're pretty good at that step now, you don't need to check it, then don't worry about checking it. Okay. Next part is we're going to pinch. Now we want to go between 5 and 6 inches tall. And we want to stay between 4 and 5 inches wide because this is going to be a bigger piece. It's a marble vase. So we want to have this taller. Okay, so this is going to be the tallest you've ever thrown. Your fingers are not going to be able to go like this the whole time. So we'll have to switch to our technique that we've been practicing. And some of you guys already can do this. So I'm going to come down here. Again, I'm going to pinch. I'm going to stay down here for a little bit, really pushing that clay in. And then I'm going to pinch and I'm going to pull up. And again, you're making small changes right now. And again, I don't want my fingers to snap. And I bring all that up just like that and we're done. So we're going to pinch real hard and keep the same thickness all the way up. Hands are very slippery, never sticky. I can still get my thumb down here. I can still do this technique. So I'm going to take my sponge, lots of clay on the bottom right next to this bat. You got to use that clay. When you start making bigger pieces and more advanced pieces, you got to use every clay that you got. So I'm pinching real hard. I'm not clumping up yet. I'm just pinching hard to get all that clay there. And now I'm going to pinch same thickness all the way up. And come up to the top. Now, as of right now, I know I'm not really even close yet. I'm at like 3 or 4 inches tall. But my walls are pretty thick. And I don't want to get this real wide because then it's just harder to push back in. So try to make sure this is as cylindrical as possible, okay? Again, the width is supposed to be 4 to 5, and I'm hoping I'm around 4. I am right at 4, so I have a little bit of give. I don't want to use it yet, but I'm trying to go for that 5 to 6 inch height. So now I can't reach down, and you never want to put pressure on the lip. I can't push down on here without destroying the lip. But now you're going to do something you've been practicing for a long time. Fingers are still on the bottom. Thumb rests right here. Fingers, if the clay wasn't there, you'd be pinching like this. So I'm pushing in pretty hard, grabbing that clay. I'm still putting all that pinching force, not with my thumb, but with my fingertip. Hands are getting a little sticky. Notice I just came in, I'm putting my arm against my side right here. Pinch. Now I'm using my thumb because it's high enough now. And bringing this straight up. Nice and easy. Hands nice and wet. I am at, you remember the height? Yep. It is 6 and 7. I am at 5.5. Where's all the weight at? Right down here. You have to pinch hard to get that. And then as you come up, then you lighten up a little bit. Putting a little bit of water on top of the whole vase itself. Coming down here, getting all that clay. Pinching hard. And bringing this straight up. And I am to the top. I think I'm over it now. Yep, I'm at 7 inches. So this is taller than what you need to make it, okay? I went a whole inch more than I need. So there's lots of room for mistakes and errors and stuff like that as you build this. Now, vases have different styles. You know, maybe you want to keep it like this where it comes, again, straight up, has a narrower bottom. You know, we're going to have to turn the foot here in a second. You know, and it just kind of comes up like that. Maybe you want to go in and color it and have a little more of that traditional curve. And I'll do that one so you can see it. Otherwise, this is nice. I could kind of be done right now if I wanted to, as long as my other measurement is close. So remember between 6 and 7 here, which is at 7, and between 4 and 5 here, and it's at like 5.5. So it is a little wide, but I would still give you an A on this. So I have to kind of think about that a little bit, but yeah, so this would still be fine. But I'm going to bring this in. So now I'm gonna choke it, so I can kind of get a more of an interesting look. So again, that's one of the techniques we learned. Get your hands in here. I want to have more of a curve right here from the body to the top right here. So go ahead and go in kind of like you're going to go after your younger brother, your younger sister. Get that, and then you squeeze the neck. And then we have that shape. Now I can pull this out farther. So I'm going to get my fingers inside of here and try to push that clay out because I want to define that more. And maybe with this one, I just want to flatten this down a little bit more. You know, maybe I want to come in and really play around with this shape of the vase because I want to have more of a belly here. I want to push in, have more of a fine curve right there. Lots of ways you can manipulate this, okay? So again, I have my height, which is the most important, which is 5 and 6. You know, and then this is coming out to 6 inches. So probably between 4 and 6. I got to think about that one a little more because this would still be fine. Okay, next step. Let's trim your foot up. So I'm going to take my double-ended loop tool. Come right down here. Trim this bottom foot first. Again, that 9-degree cut is real important. You'll learn that in glazing. If you don't do that, it's more of an issue. So it's important you get that 9 degrees so your glaze doesn't run weird and then kind of screw up your bottom when you have to try to chip off that glaze. Okay, now this is where it gets a little bit different than you've never done before because we want to pull that marbling black out because that red clay, when that turns to that slip, it just has a little more of an issue. So now I'm going to use this metal rib and I want to go through and I want to be able to clean that slip off. So I want to make sure this is nice and clean. It's not a serrated edge or anything. I'm going to come in, dig inside here, and then I want to slide this up, and this starts exposing all of that marbling. I'm going to take that off, clean that up again, do that again, come down, slide up with this, and I'm going to also get the very top of this area as well. So a big thing when you start using this kind of tool is you don't want to dig in, you know, as it's coming across. You want to kind of catch it as it's leaving. And it scrapes it pretty well. If you do it the other way, you're going to kind of gouge inside of it. This is a little trickier down here, but I'm going to see if I can just use one of the angles on this side. Come across, and again, the goal with this tool is to really expose that marbling. And you'll be able to see it, but you won't notice it nearly as much until we actually fire it. But this is the way to get it off. We're not going to worry about the inside. We're just worried about the outside. Okay, after that, I'm going to shut the wheel off. There's a little bit of water on the inside. I'm going to take my small sponge. So you don't want to let that in there because remember your clay has a tendency to crack because it's drying at a different rate. And you can shut it off. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit. You can see a nice marbling right here, some on this other side. And again, you'll notice it more after it's fired. So it's kind of an interesting technique. Other than that, good luck. Remember our measurements again are trying to get that 6 and 7 tall, you know, around that 5, you know, or sorry, around that 4 to 7 wide on this, and again 3 pounds of clay, so 1.5 of white, 1.5 of red. Okay, let me know if you have any questions and good luck on the project. Thanks.